Many stopped taking sugar completely. But why and how will such heavy metals be added to sugar? Nominated Member of Parliament Jennifer Shamala has an interesting observation in this. Let's listen in.
No difference between industrialized sugar and domestic sugar. None of them should have mercury in them because industrialized sugar is actually used in the pharmaceutical industry. The question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the effect of mercury in sugar? It hinders the body to produce red blood cells. It causes infertility. Madam Speaker, there is a serious link between organized crime and terrorism. And indeed, it is not lost on us that in the year 2014, it was reported that the terror group Al-Shabaab had now become engaged in the illicit sugar trade. Indeed, I think we have to ask these very pertinent questions because actually mercury is a type of primer that is used for bullets and motion-activated detonators. Is it possible that when this sugar was being smuggled on the high seas, it had something else underneath it, and that is how the mercury got into the sugar? The war on Kenya is economic sabotage. It is also a war on the people of Western Kenya, because not only is it economic sabotage, because if indeed there is this mercury that is going to cause infertility, then you're fighting even the population demographics of our people.
That is nominated Member of Parliament Jennifer Shamala. Then studio still have her colleague, of course, in Parliament, that is Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, Navakholo Member of Parliament, who also doubles up as the National Assembly Agriculture Committee Vice Chair, as well as Secretary General Kenya Sugarcane Plantation Workers Union, Francis Wangara, who is at our city centre studios. Now, Honorable Wanga, let me ask you this question. Before we go off, and address issues to do with the economic sabotage, something that the Interior Cabinet Secretary had mentioned, as well as the nominated Member of Parliament that you've just had, let's address the issue of mercury. Actually, globally, if you look at the price of mercury, it's even rising faster than that of gold. It's one of the 10 most expensive minerals in the world. So, do you think there's something that is not adding up here? Why will someone less sugar with mercury?
Thank you very much. And the line of argument of Honorable Shamala is a line of argument for security purpose. That sends our security apparatus into operation so that they should now be able to follow up this path until its full conclusion. When you look at the cost, the way you've given it to us, it is a big variation in terms of there is no need for you to add mercury onto sugar. So it seems like this mercury might have been a component for another totally different purpose. So we want to leave that to the security apparatus, let them follow that line of argument until they advise us what could be the reason.
I'd like to hear Francis Wangara's reaction to this.
Thank you. I think what I can say that is very unfortunate that we can have such a poisonous substance laced in our sugar. And as the nominated Member of Parliament has been talking, it could be that the entry points of this sugar, which is not directly from the imports of Mombasa or other entry points along the Somalia border, could have come in through that entry. And most of the people who are doing business along the border, they find the commodity very cheap. And it's unfortunate that they could be Al-Shabaab who are dealing in this business and therefore targeting Kenya through other avenues. And that will be very unfortunate. And what we need to do is, now all sugar that has been imported, it is a long process, but we have no alternative. But we must verify and
Mr. Francis,
make sure
as a stakeholder,
that all sugar that is brought here
yes, as a stakeholder in the sugar industry, do you expect to see heads rolling? Because this sugar did not come to Kenya by accident. There are, of course, agencies, I've already mentioned earlier, state agencies, from KRA, police officers, even anti-counterfeit agencies, all these manning the borders. So as a stakeholder in this industry, do you expect the government to act, tough on these individuals?
They have no option. They have no option because what is going to happen is that if this industry closes down, the lives of about 8 million Kenyans is going to suffer. It's not only Western Kenya. It is also in Nyanza, it's part of Rift Valley, Transmara, and those other areas in Mombasa and all over. So now we are talking of the lives of about 8 million Kenyans. So the country cannot neglect the life of 8 million Kenyans. They must do something and do it very fast and make sure that they protect the existing industry so it does not go down because of a few individuals who wanted to make quick money in the, from the sugar they import and sell. So that must be done, and they have no option but to do. They must protect the lives, the people who survive and who base their lives on the sugar industry.
Honorable Wangwe, let's address the economic sabotage bit of it that the Interior Cabinet Secretary has alluded to, as well as the Member of Parliament there, Jennifer Shamala. So do you think revenue losses, losses in collection of revenue necessitated this kind of a crackdown that we're witnessing, not just in Nairobi, but across the country? Yes,
there is an enormous loss in revenue associated with this import. And before that, I would want to say a conclusive position on the issue of mercury, that the security systems should have put the people, anybody suspected to have imported this sugar behind bars by now. Because the same way my brother Wangare is saying of 8 million farmers, we are now talking of a replica 8 million families. So in other words, we are talking of somebody who would want to kill the entire nation. When you talk of warfare, it does not mean throwing planes alone or fighting by gun. Even fighting by chemical is also another warfare. This is a serious situation which we must see. Our Interior Secretary should take action. We should talk when the culprits, the people behind this scenario, should be behind bars. On the issue of economic sabotage, when you look at the import of sugar, and it's written on not for sale, definitely the code against which Kenya Revenue Authority received taxes must be different. It means this product entered this country without paying all the necessary duty. That is why we are saying they are causing a lack of collection by KRA to service our entire budget, which means it is going to affect now on the existing factories in Western Kenya. What does it mean when you bring 184 metric tons into the region? It means our farmers are going to lose out on the product which they were otherwise supplying to crush cane. These factories are going not to crush any longer. Instead, they are going to rely on the import from Brazil, from any other country where they are getting this product from. Therefore, economically, when there is no money in the pocket of our people, it means you have killed the region economically, and we won't be able to sustain that in the long run.
Now, Francis, let's address issues to the Gazette notice that was issued last year by the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Francis Rotich. Rotich, who said that duty-free sugar importation window was provided for, of course, by the National Treasury CS Henry Rotich through a Gazette notice. Can you perhaps tell us if there was any consultative forum? Were you consulted as a stakeholder in the sugar industry before this Gazette notice was issued? And perhaps does anyone know or have a rough idea of the amount of sugar that was imported then?
There was no intensive consultation. What we know is that by that time, we had a problem of shortage of cane for milling. And then there was a discussion where the millers put it to the government that they don't want sugar to be imported by the cartels. They wanted the sugar to be imported by the millers themselves. And therefore, they were given a window during that time between September and December purposely to cushion the shortage of sugar that was on the market in the country, and at the same time to continuously maintain the price of cane that the farmers should be paid all through during these short times. And it was supposed to end by December. And it is unfortunate, as my Mheshimiwa is saying, Mheshimiwa Wangwe, is that if this one is allowed to continue, the way it was allowed to continue, even some of the millers will find no reason to continue with the milling. They will prefer selling sugar that they import. And therefore, it has even caused a problem because the cane price has gone down. The excuse has been that there is a lot of imported sugar, while some of them are the importers. So it defeats the logic. The Gazette notice was clear, it had a time frame, and there was a quantum that was supposed to be brought in. And once that quantum was arrived at, there was no reason of bringing in more sugar. Now the sugar that is in the stalls and in the warehouses is beyond the consumption of this country. What does that imply? It implies that sugar that is produced in this country is going to go at very low price and therefore affecting everybody. I am a workers' representative. How do I negotiate with a miller when his product is not selling? How do I advocate for better salaries for my people when the product is not selling? And yet we have seen the cause of the problem. So it must be properly investigated, action taken, and it is good that there is sugar which was taken from some stall somewhere. It was verified and found that it was laced with mercury. So the source is known. Nobody should hide to say that they don't know where this sugar came from. That person must give the government a hint on where he bought that sugar from. Maybe from a wholesaler, from anybody, from a distributor. We have a reason, we have a hint, and we cannot hide behind that.
Now, Honorable Wangwe, is there a possibility that these poisonous, this contraband sugar, were imported during this, duty-free window?
Thank you. Those are some of the concerns we'll be looking at when it comes to our committee, starting from tomorrow. We'll be looking at all the legalities around the import of this product and any illegality committed towards the importation of this product. Those are the technical aspects that we'll be looking at. In addition, we'll also be looking at the Kenya Gazette itself, which was issued by the Minister for Finance. We are members of East Africa Community, and we know in the integration process, we know to what extent can a Minister for Finance of one of the partner states can issue a Gazette notice discharging a country from importing duty-free products. We'll want to look at the procedure that was taken. Was it accurate? Was it the right procedure? Because some of this product might have come into the country as a result of a transit cargo to Uganda. Yet it was lying, yet it is ending up in the country. Because that notice in itself, if it is not consulted with the member state, Council of Ministers of the member states, it is subject to abuse. So we'll also be looking at that from the Ministry of Finance so that we now know, is this product, was this the procedure for bringing this cargo, was it properly settled?
Now, there's a question here from one of our viewers, and it's directed to you, Honorable Wangwe, and he's saying, Kenyans will want to see the face of these shadowy people. Are you saying we have Kenyans who don't care about the health of our children? Let's see these guys. Can you perhaps give us a time frame? When can we possibly, or Kenyans can possibly see the names and faces of these importers who seem to be protected, honestly?
Thank you. I want to thank that Kenyan. We are starting the process as early as tomorrow. In the course of the next 2 weeks, because this is an interrogatory process, in the course of the process, we are definitely going to name the companies that are associated. We are going to unveil the names of those company owners behind the companies that might have participated. Because looking at today, there are various companies that were mentioned on the floor. Unfortunately, I don't remember them. But those companies, we now unveil who are the parties behind it. So we will be doing so in the next, starting from tomorrow onwards. So I would want to call on the good Kenyan to follow the procedures as will be until we table the report in the National Assembly.
Of course, this is a story that has elicited a lot of reaction on social media. Many thanks, Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe, for your input. He's the Navakholo Member of Parliament, also doubles up as the Vice Chair of the Agricultural Committee at the National Assembly, as well as Secretary General, Kenya Sugarcane Plantation Workers Union. That is Francis Wangare, who was speaking to me all the way from a city centre studio. That's all we had for you, the big story tonight. Many thanks for watching. Up next is KTN Prime with Lindo Gutu. Bye-bye for now.